In February 2021, I created a video 10 steps to take before you invest your money that shows you how to create a successful investment plan. This is one of the older videos when my channel was much smaller, hence views numbers are not as high, but most certainly the information is still very important and worth reviewing. Unfortunate thing is that when it comes to investing, most people will immediately start thinking about the product to use rather than think first about the reason for investing and setting up your plan according to each need or each of your goals. So why am I mentioning this older video today? Well, today's video is our deep dive into the step 7 from that old video, and we will discuss different ways of asset ownership and impact it has on other aspects of your financial setup. Choosing the correct investment ownership can be complex and confusing, but really needs to be done correctly, as it can represent a significant difference in financial outcomes, sometimes thousands of dollars of difference. But what is even more important is the issue of asset protection that is completely underestimated but will appear in a moment of tragic events when you really don't want to have any more problems. So please watch this video to the end, as then I will tell you exactly what problems can appear if you don't structure your assets correctly from the start. My name is Katherine Isbrandt from About Retirement. I'm a certified financial planner, and you are watching About Retirement TV. This is the place where you can find all the financial information you need when you are preparing yourself for retirement, or if you have already retired and wish to improve your financial outcomes. So what sort of forms of asset ownership do we have in Australia? Number 1, self-ownership. Number 2, joint ownership, so-called joint tenancy. Number 3, tenants in common. Number 4, trust. Number 5, company. And number 6, superannuation. In order to decide on investment ownership structure, there are a lot of things you need to take into consideration. Number 1, what is your end goal? Number 2, what is the investment structure? Number 3, tax. Number 4, legal issues. Number 5, retirement and age pension. And number 6, estate planning issues. So let's start with our list. Number 1, self-ownership. This is the simplest type of asset ownership directly on your personal name only. You are the sole owner of the asset. You alone are responsible for tax payable on this asset, whether it is an income tax or capital gains tax. It is great when you are single. If you are in a relationship, other factors need to be taken into equation outside of simplicity, such as tax, asset security, and estate planning. If you run a business where you could be exposed to a financial liability, then self-ownership might not be the best idea, as asset security should be your priority and should be investigated in greater details. From the estate planning point of view, all self-owned assets participate in the will distribution and are subject to probate and can be challenged by anyone who believes they have the right to benefit from the estate. Therefore, self-ownership does not provide any degree of asset security, but if there is no problem with your estate, it is an easy way to pass asset to your beneficiaries. Number 2, joint with your partner. Also very simple ownership where all partners own investment 100% each. Any income earned gets split equally between partners, as well as tax liability is shared at equal portion. This type of asset ownership is the easiest from a estate planning point of view, as if one partner passes away, the asset automatically belongs to the surviving partner or partners in full, with no requirement to go through any legal process of deceased estate distribution, as joint assets are not part of the will. But there are drawbacks, because if, for example, you own assets jointly with a partner and your partner borrows money against the asset without telling you and defaults on the loan, you are both responsible regardless of your lack of knowledge. Also, each partner has the same right to do with the asset what they want, so your partner could withdraw the balance without your knowledge and do whatever he or she wants with the money. So this type of asset ownership is fantastic, especially from the simplicity point of view, but it is based on a great deal of trust between partners. Providing there is trust between partners, then this is the easiest and most recommended way of asset ownership, especially in retirement. This is a sure way to take over the full 100% asset ownership in case one partner passes away. Therefore, the second partner can continue life and not wait for the estate distribution of all matrimonial assets. Number 3, tenants in common. Very popular form of asset ownership in Australia in 50s and 60s, less now, but it can be most appropriate for specific purposes. As explained before, in the case of joint ownership, each partner owns the asset 100%. In tenants in common situation, it is a defined split of asset ownership as per your agreement. The split can be 50-50, 60-40, 70-30, any split you want. There could be even more than 2 partners in agreement as well. Benefits: you own your share and you are not responsible for another person's liability. The partner cannot do whatever they want without your knowledge, as your share does not belong to them. If one partner dies, you just have your share, and the share of the deceased partner is subject to deceased estate distribution as listed in the will of the deceased partner. This type of asset ownership is still used by business partners or investment partners, but I would not recommend it in a family situation. Number 4, trust, and number 5, company. Those two are mainly used for the purpose of asset protection and tax minimization. I will not concentrate on those, as they really require personal advice from financial planner together with accountant and a lawyer. Number 6, superannuation. Most people don't know, but super is a type of trust. But because it is under very specific rules that are different to those of general trust, and it is governed by APRA or ATO in the case of self-managed super fund, it gets listed as a separate type of asset ownership. Superannuation trust has lots of legislative rules around contribution, tax, ability to draw funds, pension limits, access to funds. I have created an extensive list of videos devoted to explanation of superannuation and rules that govern this type of investment. So please review my channel and watch them all to understand how super works. But it is not only rules introduced by legislation. Each trustee of a super fund will also introduce their own rules. Therefore, sometimes comparing super funds is quite difficult, as each trustee could introduce different restrictions to their fund, or go the other way, allow for more flexibility or variety, especially when it comes to investment type used and limits applicable to each investment. Understanding asset ownership is essential, as the correct decision needs to be made before you purchase the asset. Otherwise, you could introduce lots of problems later on in life. For example, high tax on sale of asset later on in life that could have been reduced or avoid it altogether if you used a different structure at the time when you purchased the asset. Difficulty to be eligible for government benefits as assets are incorrectly owned. Inability to access assets at the time when you need them. For example, superannuation access limits. Estate exposed to possible challenges that otherwise could have been avoided. Assets are not easily passed on to your chosen beneficiaries but subject to possible family dispute. I hope you found information of importance. If that's the case, please like the video and sign up to this channel not to miss my next video. I also invite you to visit my website aboutretirement.com.au, where you can find lots of financial information, especially when preparing for retirement or if you have already retired and wish to improve your financial position. And while you are there, please sign up to my newsletter that will keep you up to date with all financial news that can impact your retirement. And now please watch the mentioned video 10 steps to take before you invest your money. This is a great way to know exactly how to plan your financial life and savings long before you jump into product selection. The second recommendation are all the videos from Superannuation selection, starting with proposed superannuation changes in 2022. Enjoy, and I will be talking to you in my next video. Bye for now.